Today on Hearts of Heroes.
They say that a semi was hanging off the bridge. No, it couldn't have been.
A big rig cab hangs precariously off the side of a bridge.
It's a tractor trailer that went over the bridge.
It went over the bridge?
We have a truck that's hanging on by a thread.
This attempted rescue will require precision teamwork, a trained group of professionals, and a daring rope rescue.
What we were met with was something significantly more serious than what we had planned on.
You don't train for something like this at all.
We're hanging 100 feet out, 100 feet up.
We do train for that rope rescue. We don't train to do it off of our aero ladder.
We're not sure, is it going to fall into the water? With lives hanging by a thread, these heroes plunge into the fray with unwavering resolve, courage, determination, and compassion.
First responders devote countless hours to training for all types of rescue scenarios, especially focusing on highly specialized rope operations.
Despite their training and preparation, sometimes firefighters are faced with a rescue even they could never imagine.
Which is exactly what happened when the cab of a semi-truck dangled over the side of a bridge in Louisville, Kentucky. Louisville is the most populated city in Kentucky, and it's also home to Churchill Downs and boxing great Muhammad Ali.
Louisville as a place is extremely dynamic. We have 2 airports in town. We have multiple expressways and highways that run through. We have the river that flows through.
That river is the Ohio, separating Louisville from the state of Indiana.
We have 3 main bridges that take us from Indiana to Kentucky. The Clark Memorial Bridge is a 4-lane bridge with no divider, no median. So there are 2 lanes each that oppose each other.
So you'll have overturned semis, multiple car pileups. So we do a lot in this city, any type of rescue you can think of.
Being a large city with bridges, high rises, and many waterways, rescuers train for all kinds of emergencies.
When we respond on rescue runs, whether that be any technical rescue run at all, swift water, dive rescue, high angle rope rescue, structural collapse, confined space.
That's one of the best things about this job is that every day is different. So you can be on a med run one minute and then turn around and be hanging off a bridge in the next minute.
The department also has a rescue boat specially tailored to respond to water emergencies.
Captain Quinn, tell me about this vessel. This is not your everyday boat.
It's Marine One. We received this boat about a year ago. It's a fire boat, so it has pumping capabilities. We can flow over 4,000 gallons per minute, and it also acts as a dive platform for our dive rescue team.
On the afternoon of May 15, 2024, it would take every resource that the Louisville Fire Department had when this happened.
911, Operator Sparks, where's your emergency?
We're on the 2nd Street Bridge coming into town. There's an 18-wheeler hanging off the bridge.
You said the semi is hanging over the edge of the bridge?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. She's hanging over the bridge.
Is the driver out of the truck at all?
No, she cannot get out of the truck. She's in the cab that's
The driver
pointing towards the water.
she cannot in the cab that's hanging over the water?
The cab is hanging over the river.
When I first got the call and the caller told me that there was a semi hanging off the bridge, it did not register in my head that this could be a real thing. So I processed the call, got it up for police, fire, and EMS to all go, and then they confirmed to us that the semi was hanging off the bridge.
Despite the size of their vehicles, even big rig drivers are not exempt to road dangers, especially on a narrow bridge where there's little room for error. Every decision becomes critical. The confined space amplifies the potential consequences of any misstep or miscalculation.
There was a semi-truck driver. Someone came into her lane swerving around a vehicle that was stalled. And when they came around in her lane, they took out her axle, which gave her no control and sent her right over the edge. Did they say that a semi was hanging off the bridge? No, it couldn't have been. So we made our way to the bridge, and while we were approaching, we could actually see the rear end of that truck sticking straight up in the air.
You have a semi hanging halfway over the bridge, and it is hanging on by a thread. 6 inches of metal that are just holding it there. So what we were met with was something significantly more serious than what we had planned on.
Coming up. With the clock ticking, rescuers devise a plan that has everyone teetering on the edge.
We have a truck that's hanging on by a thread. This is going to be a high-angle rope rescue, so we need people in harnesses.
But first, some advice to help keep you safe on the road.
Did you know that there are over 600,000 vehicle bridges in America? And while many are architectural wonders, they can be challenging for motorists to navigate.
Many bridges have narrow roads, lack breakdown lanes, and freeze much faster than typical street concrete.
So if you're crossing a bridge, take it easy and be alert. Drive safe, be in the know, and cross slow.
In May of 2024, as a big rig cab was hanging off of Louisville's Clark Memorial Bridge high above the Ohio River, first responders tried to calm the terrified truck driver.
Sergeant Lucas, he was talking to her about stay calm, try not to move a whole lot, because what we had was unsecure. You wanted to just reassure her that we're coming, we're trying to get to you as fast as we can.
The biggest fear was that any sharp movement in that cab could be deadly. Especially daunting, given that the bridge towers over 70 feet above the Ohio River.
Realizing the gravity of the situation, Captain Michael Wren swiftly called in Rescue 6 to position itself directly under the bridge in case the truck plunged into the water below.
Soon, rescue teams on both land and water were in high rescue mode. And when Captain Rain pulled up to the scene, he knew he had to come up with a game plan fast.
We have a truck that's hanging on by a thread. So we need people in harnesses. This is going to be a high-angle rope rescue. So I look back at one of the guys in the back. Hey, I need you to put on a harness.
That guy in the back was firefighter Bryce Carden.
I'm getting the harness on and getting ready, and as we're pulling up on the bridge, I'm finishing my last buckle, and I hop out, and that's where it started.
This thing could go at any minute. The river's at flood stages, so it is rocking and rolling. It is moving extremely quickly. If that were to fall in, the floodgates are wide open.
They knew the situation would require a rope rescue, but there was one major obstacle.
I look up at the bridge and think, we're not gonna be able to do our normal, let's just rig to the bridge and then lower ourselves down, because the truck has protruded out 20 feet. So now we need something that we don't normally use in this manner, and that would be our aerial ladder.
He said, we're gonna send the ropes through the ladder and we're gonna drop you over, and I said, let's do it.
This would prove to be a painstaking and intricate maneuver.
There was definitely an unconventional in the moment. And what I mean by that is we do train for that rope rescue, that pick-off rescue. We've done it hundreds of times. We don't train to do it off of our aerial ladder.
To put the plan in action, they would first have to position the engine ladder above the teetering cab.
And there was only so many spaces we could put that ladder. Being so far back, we didn't want to get too close. The vibration may make the truck move.
So with technical rescue, you don't want to rush anything. However, you have to go quickly, move with a purpose. Because in this case, you've got that precarious position of that truck, and we're not sure, is it going to fall into the water?
Once the truck was in position, they rigged the ropes to the ladder. They would use what's called a dual rope system, where one rope releases slack to lower the rescuer. Another rope tightens the slack to raise the rescuer.
That day we had multiple people that were running ropes, physically hands-on ropes, and we had a couple people on each one controlling the ropes, letting slack out, pulling slack in.
The goal there in mind is let's get the ladder tip directly over the cab so we have a point that we can take our ropes from that can get us directly to the driver of the semi.
You don't train for something like this at all.
Firefighter Bryce Carden was strapped into his harness and ready to perform the rope rescue.
I was so focused that I was locked in. Like, that was the feeling of that I'm gonna be the guy to get this done. They're controlling the ropes up top, but it's on me to get it done at that point.
Coming up, the team of first responders must come together as a life literally hangs in the balance.
I knew that it was out of my control at that point. We're hanging 100 feet out, 100 feet up.
edge of Louisville's Clark Memorial Bridge, a semi-truck and its driver were hanging dangerously over the Ohio River. With a plan in place, first responders needed to pull off a rescue unlike anything they had ever performed.
We don't have our normal setup, so it became we have to think on the fly and adjust. There was no other option.
Controlling the ladder was Sergeant Joseph Barrow. Overseeing the rope rigging was Captain Michael Wren, and Bryce Carden was the vertical operations rescuer.
I was bracing myself to go really slow with both hands using one joystick at a time because any wrong movement or fast movements could hit the bridge or could alter the truck the way it's hanging.
I remember telling Bryce, one thing I do not want you to do is step onto the vehicle itself. I don't want you to shift it. Here's where it's holding on, and we don't want to move that.
Once we start lowering that ladder, I can't see Bryce anymore. So I rely on my captain, who's giving me hand signals. And these aren't even hand signals that we've practiced. I felt like I understood him exactly what he was saying.
I was voicing it to Wren was voicing it to Rogers was voicing it to Burrow, who couldn't even see me on the pedestal.
I told my captain, Captain Rogers, I said, you were my eyes and I were your hands.
Bryce needed to make contact with the truck, but the situation was dangerous.
As you're 100 feet out and 100 feet up, you know, when you're swinging in the air, trying not to touch that truck was pretty tough. But I was able to get my foot positioned on the mirror first and then put my leg on the door.
When he made contact, he did his best to reassure the terrified driver.
I'm like, hey, I'm here, but here's what I need to do. And she was awesome to be able to basically help me help her.
Firefighter Carden emphasized to the driver the critical need to remain calm and still. Any slight movement could potentially send the cab plunging into the river below. The next thing Carden needed to do was get the driver into a harness and out of the cab.
As I started to pull her out, I realized that the seatbelt was still caught, so I had a knife on me and I was able to cut her out of her seatbelt and pull her out to me.
But as he pulled her out, something frightening happened.
She had her feet on the gas and the brake at the same time. So as I pulled her out and took that pressure off of that air brake, it went shh. And so everybody on scene was like, even myself, I was like thinking, I gotta get her out now, like I was gonna yank her out.
He quickly got the driver out of the cab and gave the signal to bring them up.
I knew it was out of my control at that point. It's all on them. We're hanging 100 feet out, 100 feet up.
Our next movement is going to be, let's get away from the truck. If this thing falls, we just want to be away from it. Captain Rogers has his guys extend the ladder out. That brings Bryce and her up.
Once I got the signal to extend the ladder to pick them up, I knew I had to be extra cautious because not only did I have my firefighter, I had the lady that was trapped inside on that rope.
And then, sure enough, she comes right over the edge onto the street. And that is a sigh of relief for all of us.
The driver had kept her composure throughout, but when she was lowered onto the bridge, the gravity of the ordeal sunk in.
That's whenever all the emotions hit her. I've never seen anybody break down like she did, but as anybody would, they're facing certain death. She just fell on the ground, basically fainted with emotion, you know, that she was safe. So it was pretty powerful.
The driver was taken to the hospital to check for any injuries. And once the rescuers had a moment to collect themselves, they too were struck by the magnitude of what they had just experienced.
I didn't even realize that my heart was beating as much as it was until afterwards. I have this watch that told me I probably needed to take some meditation time because my heart rate was elevated for so long.
It was like running it into the goal line. Then my adrenaline came down. It just clicked in like, what did we just do?
What they did was perform an incredible rescue.
Being able to be the person on the rope and my team come together on that day to get it done, it was such a good feeling. That's definitely why I took this job.
I think all of us just want to help the city. That's why we signed up.
Coming up, these firefighters become international heroes.
This was on the national news at lunchtime, so everyone on the planet saw this today.
But first, important info for parents looking to keep an eye on their teens while they're out on the road.
Did you know that the fatal automobile crash rate for 16 to 19-year-olds is nearly 3 times greater than drivers 20 and over?
Accidents can be caused by reckless behavior, excessive speeds, and distracted driving. For parents of inexperienced drivers, there are websites and apps where you can track driving stats in real time.
These programs are inexpensive and easy to access. They'll help you rest easy after seeing that your teenager is committed to safety behind the wheel.
Louisville first responders had pulled off a once-in-a-career rescue, saving the life of a semi-truck driver that was hanging off the side of a bridge.
When they finally made it back to the station, they discovered they weren't just local heroes, they had made international news.
Firefighters pull off a rescue like never before.
A daring rescue.
A rescue never before seen.
They're like, hey, this was on the national news at lunchtime. So, everyone on the planet saw this today. And we had no idea until afterward.
My captain said, hey, this is big. And I was jokingly like thinking, hey, local news big, And he was like, no, it's on BBC, which is like a major world news.
So-and-so news anchor wants an interview, and then an hour later, so-and-so wants an interview, and it's just like, holy cow, I guess everyone saw that.
When people called you and say, hey, man, I saw you on TV, or I can't believe you guys rescued that lady, or you did such a great job, it makes you feel really good. It makes you feel like you were a part of something big.
I get the chance to see every day how amazing the men and women of the Louisville Fire Department are, and this was an opportunity for the rest of the world to get to see it.
Something else amazing happened. After the rescue, firefighter Bryce Carden and his family developed a lasting friendship with the rescued driver.
We've been in contact. Her and my wife have become good friends, so it's been awesome. She has a 3-year-old son. We have a 2-year-old daughter, close in age, so I'm sure this friendship will continue.
Recently, Sheldon Yellen of our sponsor, Belfour Property Restoration, visited the scene of the rescue on board Louisville's Marine One rescue boat.
Chief, as I understand it, time was not on your side.
Exactly. That truck was in a very precarious position, so we were very concerned about where it might go. This exact boat was in the water with divers on hand in case it did. But yeah, we got there, we set up that rope system, and from the time that we arrived on scene to the time we had the victim on solid ground was about 45 minutes.
For our viewers, if you're ever in need of a rescue, please be patient. Please trust that the first responders coming to save you have trained for this. This is what they do. Give them time, don't panic, and listen to the instruction.
Exactly. This is something that our people train for day in and day out. They are professionals at what they do. Try your best to remain calm so that we can help you.
Bryce, what goes through your mind when you come back out here and see that bridge?
So coming back out here, it all just kind of comes back to me, everything that went on that day, just the teamwork that went into it. And every time I look at it, I think about how proud I am to be a Louisville firefighter, what this opportunity was given to me by being a Louisville firefighter, and it's definitely life-changing, but it's been good for the department as a whole.
And Bryce, does being back out here make you proud?
Very proud. Very proud of myself, proud of the Louisville Fire Department, and just proud of my whole team who was able to get it done that day. It's so much of the success to the team, and to her, how she was able to keep her emotions in check and help me help her. So just very proud of the whole crew, and now we can continue to learn and be better next time.
Because of this highly specialized team of first responders, they were able to perform a rescue unlike anything their department had ever done.
It's just a testament to their training, to their skill set, and to their preparedness.
I was proud of our whole team, and especially that we were able to just come together and get it done while the whole world was watching, essentially, and so it was good.
We have pulled off something that we've never done before, and it's good to see all that training come through. It's a good feeling. We have accomplished a once-in-a-lifetime rescue.
The incredible rescue on the Clark Memorial Bridge just goes to show how training, preparation, and teamwork can be an unbeatable combination.
Not to mention ingenuity and unyielding dedication to their job. That's what first responders are really all about. Our heartfelt thanks to each and every one of them. And thanks to you for watching. We'll see you next time on Hearts of Heroes.